Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, thanks so much for jumping on. And yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about funnel building. We're going to talk about finding investors for your raises. We're going to get into the weeds. So let me go ahead and first introduce myself. My name is Jeff Fuzzy Wenzel. I'm the CEO of Pre-IPO Hype. If you guys have done any background or looked up at me at all, I've done a lot in this space. Really since the Jobs Act went through. And prior to that, I did a ton on Kickstarter. So I have been in finding money for startups 20 years now, I guess, at this point. So today we're going to get into the weeds here. And I will tell you, this is all live. So if there's something you want me to go back on, just please let me know. I'll go back on it. I will have a Q&A section here at the end. You should probably plan roughly about 40 minutes, give or take. And I'm also going to recommend notes. If you don't want to take notes, because I am going to get into the weeds of a lot of stuff, all good. Just shoot me a note back and I'll get you a transcription or a recording of this call if you want me to send one over. But yeah, I just appreciate everybody jumping on. I know we got a holiday weekend coming up. Hopefully everybody has some great plans. I know for myself, I'm going to be getting out of town here. I'm going to be going out to California. I'm currently in Detroit, so I'm actually going to get out of the heat. Usually it's the opposite, but I'm going to be getting out of here. So again, like I said, I'm going to have a Q&A section at the end here. I do definitely recommend taking notes. If you have not been to our website, you guys can go over to preipohype.com right now. You can check out all the stuff that we do. But again, we're going to get into the weeds on fundraising and building out flows and funnels. All right. So let's go ahead and truly jump into it. So this is my brain on fundraising. I'm going to zoom in on lots of this. I'm going to get into the weeds. I'm also going to share, if you guys want to follow along with me, let me grab a quick link here. I'm going to copy. I'll throw this in the chat if you guys want to follow along, or if you just want to have access and go back to this. This is just my brain on fundraising. So again, hopefully you guys have that link there. So I'm going to start with a little bit of top level kind of thought patterns that I have when I think about these raises. And when I say raises, what I'm usually typically talking about is a lot of Reg CFs, Reg D 506Cs, Reg As, and even something that we're doing now. I sponsor investment clubs. Again, that's a whole nother conversation for down the road, but I can get in the weeds of that down the road. But most of the same strategies work for all of these. I'm obviously tweaking and adjusting depending on verticals for verticals of the whatever the company's on, type of investors, types of deals, how much we're trying to raise, minimum check sizes. A lot of this is going to be more of a foundation to kind of build from, right? And then tweak and adjust as you go. So like I said, I'm going to start with some top high level kind of thought patterns that I think about. And then I'm going to get into the weeds of the actual flows and funnels. So the first kind of top level things I like to think about is the personas that exist in almost all of these deals, right? And there's really four of them. So persona one is people that typically know you, know the brand, but don't know what crowdfunding is, have never really invested. So again, this is going to be more on the Reg CF side, but they just don't quite know what crowdfunding is. So I try to think about those personas. My marketing in this persona is a lot of education. Click here, do this, put your money in, etc. Right? Persona two is going to be people that know you and know crowdfunding. Almost every deal I work on, there's like maybe 30 people that are in this Venn diagram. So there's typically not a lot. Persona three is people that know investing but don't know your brand. So if I put you in my newsletter, we have just under 100,000 subscribers. It's like that's great, but you know, who are you? And the other one too is the competition in Persona 3 is really, really high. Whether you like it or not, you are competing with, every investment deal out there. And then Persona 4 is people that don't know the brand and don't know crowdfunding. This is where I tell you to think a little bit more around paid ads. You're really trying to drive a lot of eyeballs into the page to see if you can get them to convert, right? So that's going to be that Persona 4. Most deals is Persona 1 and Persona 3 that kind of get these over the goal lines. Next sort of top level thing I recommend thinking about is what I describe as your spheres of influence. And there's really two of these at the end of the day. Your internal sphere of influence is really where the money is going to transfer from A to B, right? Or into your wallet, maybe I should say. And those are things that you also typically can control more of the communication. So text messaging, SMS, LinkedIn DMs, an event, WhatsApp, newsletters, calling somebody, right? Like you can control how much you're doing that. There's no algorithm in the way of that relationship. Your external sphere of influence is typically more around thought leadership. Why are you investable? What's your story? What's your background? So again, there's really no strategy around like an SEO investor strategy. Like, no, there's a thought leadership strategy to tell your story, but not to like get an investor from one blog post, let's say. Same thing with like social media. A lot of people are like, well, we posted 2 or 3 times on our company LinkedIn page. We're going to get some investment from that. What? That's not how that works. So my big goal when I'm working with founders is I'm trying to move people from this bucket to this bucket, this bucket to this bucket. That's what I'm trying to do over and over and over. Okay. So again, try to think about where your list of people, your investors are in your spheres of influence, because that's what you're ultimately trying to do. Next, sort of top level. Again, like I said, I'm staying top level here for just a minute. I will get more and more in the weeds here in just a moment. The other thing I'm really trying to get more and more founders to understand, and I take opportunities like this because this is what works for me. This is what works in a lot of our deals, is really kind of flipping sort of the marketing funnel upside down. Okay. So, what I mean by that is getting awareness is fairly easy. Let's say you're on a WeFunder or a StartEdge, you're on a portal or a marketplace. Great. I'm aware that you exist. So what? What's really has to happen is what's the playground of information for an investor or people to get deeper and deeper into your flows and funnels? Do you have webinars set up? Do you have content marketing? Do you have a demo of what you do if that exists? Do you have nurturing flows? Do you have case studies? Do you have a group they can join? Do you have newsletters? Do you have anything extra value? Like, hey, if you invest, there's a perk, something along those lines, right? So I'm constantly trying to get people to really think about it really is how deep can you get somebody, not always how many times can you send them the same email over and over and over. It's still a part of it, but I do want to say you want to really be thinking about how are you sort of in your flows and funnels telling a story, getting people to feel excited about it, showing the good and the bad maybe in the company, okay? Now, I'm going to give you another stat here. This is a stat that we've seen now for about 18 months here. It's still tracking on July 2nd here as we're doing this. It's really kind of the attribution window and how many touches we're seeing from a cold audience. So again, I want to make sure you guys heard all that. Cold audience, right? These are people that don't know who you are, right? So what we're seeing is roughly a 60-day attribution window and 40 touch points for somebody to start figuring out who you are and being excited to potentially invest in your deal, right? So a lot of founders get really frustrated with this because they're like, Jeff, we don't understand. We sent 2 emails. Like, where's the investors? Jeff, you did one LinkedIn post. Where's the investors? Jeff, you did a newsletter. Where's no. People are on this journey. We are probably living in the most saturated time ever, and it's only getting more and more on top of however many people have AI kind of attached to their emails, which is nobody's even reading the whatever we send anyways, right? So you really have to kind of think about where people are on this journey and then apply those flows and funnels. Let me add one more person here. Adding those flows and funnels as to where are they in that journey, right? So you're going to be talking to people here way differently than you are here, and you need to be making sure that you have flows, funnels, communications for kind of each one of these sections in your journey, right? Very, very, and I mean very few impulse investing, meaning I got one email, here's $1 million. Like that just doesn't happen in today's world. We want to know the story and the journey. And so you want to think about what is your communication along those lines. So just kind of going back, thinking about the funnel sort of being upside down, thinking about your flows, kind of going back over here, think about those personas as you build out your funnels. We want to also kind of think about your spheres of influence, right? You're going to talk to these people differently. Okay. So now we're going to move over a little bit to just maybe a structure for you to have in your mind as to what you're going to want to build out. And this is what we typically build for every deal that we work on. It's a two-sided coin. All right. So side A is going to be all the vehicles that we send out for communication to that customer/investor. The other side of it's going to be data. Who are they? Why are we reaching out to them? Do they make sense? And then between these two worlds, we want to predict and segment what is happening, right? So we want to think about these two sides. So I'm going to start right now because we're going to get a little bit more in the weeds here. Data is probably, I can go way more into data down the road here. For right now, we're really talking about communication, what we're sending out. So we're going to look at this journey right here. So when this is in action, this is a campaign that ended not too long ago. This is the back end of their deal, and this is their dashboard that they looked at all the time. So when they dove in, they could see the emails that went out. We poll people: Are you ready to invest? Pitch deck downloads, clicking to the campaign page, surveys: Are you a $100 investor? Are you $100,000? So again, if we kind of go back to some of those visuals I was just showing, I've got different things that I'm doing that's giving me scores or telling me, hey, that person's showing more and more interest in the deal. The other thing that we measure a lot is where are people on these touch points, right? So anybody in this bucket here, they're cold in our opinion. They're not ready to invest yet. They just don't have enough touches. So we're just continuing to kind of warm them up. Once they get here, they've probably gotten a lot of newsletters. They've probably gotten ringless voicemails, maybe an SMS message that they've interacted with. Now, what we do here, this is definitely in our ecosystem. This is not going to be for everybody, but we like to enrich the data at this point. What I mean by that is that we'd like to send this information out of the system. We dump it into a tool called Clay, which you see here. And I customize this for almost every deal that we work on. But what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to find as much information out of the investor as possible. So who is the investor? Can we find their LinkedIn? What was the last investment that we found from them? Average age, male, female, the stage, the range. And again, I can customize this for almost anything. So I'm just trying to get as much information possible, and then I'm pushing that information back into the CRM. So each one of my cards is enriched. And now inside of here with my appointment setters and stuff, I can start to kind of weed people out. Like, They're not, they're a Series B investor. They're showing some interest, but like, nah, they're not going to really invest at this point. Next bucket that we do is once they get here, we push the information back out again. And this is when we turn on LinkedIn. And we'll do a very similar, like a visit, follow, invitation, couple messages. You can see our response rates usually very high because we've established on some other channels before I hit them with LinkedIn. When they get here, we'll push the information again back out of the system. And sometimes here we'll do handwritten notes to them. We use this tool here and we have an API connected. These are going to be people that might have downloaded a pitch deck, filled out a survey, really taken some meaningful action. And we're just trying to, again, get that real genuine kind of outreach to them, again, at some scale. And then last but not least, when they get over to this bucket here, we do one more enrichment. And again, this is very customized into our, I'm going to show you some more general things in just a second. But our last one is we want to do a phone number enrichment. So again, the webhook fires, we build what we call a waterfall system. We have a bunch of different tools and we confirm that we have the right mobile number. And now what we do also is we separate between iMessage and Android. So inside of this system here, each one of my accounts will have a Apple ID so that we can actually send blue bubbles. We also have some of the Apple features built into the CRM. And then if it's an Android phone, we send the green bubbles. So again, this is just a structure to be thinking about. Why we do this is I'm scoring all these behaviors. We're listening. We have a lot of cues and listenings that's happening. So even if somebody is commenting on their social media or they're, opening the newsletter 4 or 5 times, all of that stuff is kind of building a scoring system behind the scenes that kind of tells us, hey, let's reach out to them. Let's connect with them, send them this type of message, send them a postcard, et cetera, whatever it might be. So that's this side of the coin here. Right. So let's think about, now that we got kind of the structure of some of this stuff, I'm going to move over to some of the types of funnels that we typically think about and just kind of going to try to give you as many visuals as possible. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about just the types of funnels that we typically build out or we're testing between these two things. Everything I would do here, like I don't do all of this for every deal. These are kind of the levers I pull, measure, turn on, turn off, et cetera. So the first one I want to talk about is going to be this funnel right here. Now, if this is definitely a lot for like a Reg CF, or even if you might have like a Reg A page up for. So there's some sort of offering page that I'm driving people to, right? Typically, there's going to be a checkout page and ultimately a thank you page that you've invested, right? That's typically the funnel on a WeFunder, Start Engine, Republic, Silicon Prairie, all these different sort of pages. So when I have that and I'm sending some traffic into it, a couple things are going to happen. I'm going to probably send some cold email. I'm not doing as much of this anymore, but it is still a faucet that I turn on, that I will send a 4 or 5 drip cold email, just trying to get their attention. I will also sometimes have some ads running. And for ads, I typically do a lot of aspirational or emotional type ads. Now here I will do my LinkedIn first degree. So these are people that should know me to some degree. So I'm sending them to the page. And then I have my newsletters to my current company or current contacts or my contacts that I might be getting as they kind of go into the system. Now, one of the things that's important too on the cold email is making sure that if you're going to do it, you have the right structure. So if you're going to set up cold email, please do not send from your main domain. Do not upload a bunch of people into MailChimp and blast them. You want to have different domains, different email addresses, master inbox. Tools like Lemlist instantly really work great for this. There's a million of them out there now, but some version of this is definitely you want to set this up, warm up your domains, and then send the emails from here. So you want to have this type of infrastructure set up before you start blasting cold email. But ultimately, this is kind of funnel number one. We are driving people either into a funnel page like this, or we're going to send them into we do some of these types of pages, like almost like a landing page. I write my landing pages more like long form articles. They look something like this that you can see here just as an example. So again, there's different ways to do this. You kind of have to think about your audience a little bit and also think about what platform you're on and whether or not that platform really is going to convert. I will tell you, like a lot of WeFunder pages just don't convert. They just don't convert. That's just what it is. So I might send traffic here first, have them take an action, and then send them to the offering page. So again, just kind of going back to this funnel here. So again, those are little pivots that we might do. Another thing that's really nice off of the offering page, and again, this is going to be dependent on which platform you might be using if you have some of these options. If you're using something like Dealmaker, which is great, Silicon Prairie will do this, but WeFunder, Start Engine will not let you get to this degree. And what you're seeing here is the behaviors on the page, right? So some platforms, you might have a welcome flow, right? Where they land on the page, but they don't take an action, but you can still use their IP to get an email address. You might send them a simple welcome flow of like, hey, it looks like you landed on the page, you didn't take any action. How can I get you back? Then you have your abandoned carts, right? Maybe they started the investment, but they stopped. Most platforms have some version of this, right? That's cool. Site abandonment. Maybe they were on the page for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, but didn't take any action. Maybe there should be a trigger there. Post investment. And I'm talking about outside of like the thank you for investing. What else do you want them to do? I'm going to kind of go back to here. Hey, they just invested. You have other things that you might want them to do for your core business. Maybe you have a community group you want them to join. Maybe you want to make sure they're on the newsletter. Maybe you want to see about them, referring somebody, right? Is there a way that you could get a little referral in there? So again, just kind of going back up here to get this visual. So that's kind of your post investment. This one doesn't make as much sense. And then the win back, right? As you're doing rolling closes, you might want to send out more communication. So some platforms let you get into the weeds to the degree we're talking about, or they have an API that allows you to do some of this stuff. And then some of the ones like WeFund or Start Engine, they do not have this type of ability to set this sort of up. They just don't allow it. So again, just kind of depends. So that's funnel number one. I'm almost always having some version of that traffic into the offering page. And is it converting? Is it not? Second funnel that I set up for almost every single deal is nobody comes to me with thousands and millions of investors. They all need more. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually grabbing some seed data. Now you're going to see this kind of all over the place here. Data, whole nother conversation, but you can get data from, LinkedIn, Zoom Info, Apollo. You can work with me. I have a data company. We have about 3.6 million investors in our database that I'm constantly pulling from. So again, I'm just pulling from some seed data. I'm using something to say, hey, these are the right people. I'm looking at my ideal investor and my IVP, ideal investor persona, right? So again, now what I'm doing though is I'm driving everybody into opt-in pages. I want them to opt in to learn more, right? So I'm just going to drive, I'm going to take cold email again, meta ads. I'm looking for leads. And you can also do like Facebook lead ads in this, right? So I'm going to drive them into some sort of page, kind of like what we just looked at a second. This would be considered like an opt-in page. If they click here, they can opt in. And they're just opting in to learn more. So I don't have anything about the offering on this. I want them to opt in to learn more. Now, once they opt in, then I'm typically sending a 5-message framework that looks something like this. It's usually a hook, value of what we're doing. Maybe I'm asking a question, why to invest, and then like, hey, listen, now's the time you got to invest, right? So I do some sort of framework around this messaging. And this would be what I would describe as like a nurturing sequence. Somebody showed interest. Great. They opted in. Now I'm going to send them messages. And again, the offer and the message here is going to drive them into the offering page if that's what's available. If it's a Reg D, maybe this is like book a call with me, meet me, something along those lines. Again, this can be tweaked. It's just that I usually have like a 5, maybe sometimes 6 message framework that I'm doing once somebody opts in. Okay. And that's kind of my second funnel. It's a lead gen funnel. I'm just trying to get investor leads and I'm driving them into opt-in pages. And the only time they're seeing the offering page is going to be from the emails, the drip email, the drip LinkedIn, it's kind of the more signals that's when I'm going to send them over to the offering page to invest. Okay. Third funnel, very self-explanatory. Most people have all seen some version of this. It's a webinar funnel. I will turn these on and off. This will depend a lot on the founder. Do they have any charisma? Can they get on? Can they hold a meeting? Is their pitch deck good, right? If I don't have some of that stuff, I'm not going to suggest this, but some people are really good at getting on and bebopping and scatting, and holding their own, they've got some skills, right? But again, I'm taking seed data, ads, newsletters, whatever I have available. I'm driving them in to see if they'll opt in to watch the webinar. And then I have, how long they watched it, viewing, and I'll have some emails kind of off of this. But I'm definitely sending all of this information back up to my CRM and then having this message framework happen. Third funnel, and this one is a little bit different too. This will depend on whether or not you've had good articles or any press that might have come out. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll drive traffic into that article. And so like an example would be, my other company, Invest Guru, we write long form articles that you see here. So we do these big deals and focus type of content, just like what you see here. And we might drive traffic into this, let that investor learn more, download a pitch deck, take a poll, whatever it is, just show some, dive into it a little bit. And then from there, they would go to the page. So then I'm just tracking, hey, they were on the article for X amount of minutes. And then from there, they clicked to the offering page. So that would be the last funnel. The newest funnel that we've added is what you're going to see here. This is the newest one. We've rolled this out, actually end of Q1, we've rolled it out and all my clients are now doing it. Do I have lots and lots of data I do not just yet, right? We're at Q2. What I'm doing here is I am struggling as an agency with AI and messing up all of the data. So what's happened is that we are seeing bots just kind of attacking all of our marketing and inflating open rates, click-through rates, and basically just showing that like, I don't even know if anybody's reading anything that we're sending out anymore. I mean, it's kind of like that's what we're feeling behind the scenes. So we keep looking for more and more tangible things that say this investor is ready. And this is what we came up with. Like I said, towards the end of Q1, it ran all Q2. We're doubling down on it in Q3. I think it will work. It is working. We see it happening. But what it is I run meta ads and I'm now selling the client's pitch deck for $1 to $27. The number doesn't matter as much, in my opinion. It's more about showing intention, right? I'm also measuring at this point, what is my cost per acquisition to even get this to happen? And my goal is to try to get it under $100. Now, what I'm doing after that is I am not just sending an email with a pitch deck that may or may not get loaded. I'm immediately saying, book a call. I will send you the pitch deck on the call. So I want that founder to get that one-on-one, so I want you to speak to these kind of low intent investors at that point, and it's your job to upsell them kind of, right? To like get on the call and beep, bop, and scat. So now I'm going to go back. I have the same sort of thing on the webinar. If I don't think a founder can really do this, then this doesn't, I'm going to adjust this a little bit. But I am looking right now, like what we're trying to measure is one, taking out a wallet is something that, ChatGPT or Claude is not going to do on behalf of somebody and spend money, right? The webinar, how long they watch, booking, getting on the meeting. This is face to face. Everybody here, we are all real. We are all live, right? I'm assuming you guys are all live here. So this is, like I said, this is the newest funnel that we're doing. All the data, again, once somebody does take this action, obviously it's going in. We're hitting them with this. We're putting them in the CRM system. We're following up with them. We're telling them to go to the offering page. All those things are still happening. It's just that I'm looking for more and more intention that they took this action. They talked to the founder or whoever it is, who's ever running their investor relations, but they connected while they're on that call. They sent them the pitch deck. They went through it. And your job, hey, go tell them to invest, right? Go close that deal. So that's the newest funnel that we've stood up. We're super excited about it. And I bet you by the end of Q3, I'm going to have so much data on it. My gut tells me this is going to continue to work better and better as we keep tweaking it. But that's our newest one that we've just rolled out. So just kind of going back here, right? You're starting to see how deep, why I have these flows and funnels, what I'm turning on and off, what I'm thinking behind the scenes as I think about with founders, and just kind of where do they fit in the spheres of influence? Where should we be going? What should we be turning on? Some of the tech stacks that we have to stand up. When we start getting into messaging, right? I think a lot about, education type content, problem solution, polarizing. Maybe there's a competitor in your space that you're just doing so much better than them. What are the visual benefits? Hey, our widget does X, Y, and Z, which is why we're investable. All of those things start to become levers that you can pull in all of this. So I'm going to keep going a little bit because I got a couple more sort of layers to layer in this. Next one I want to get into is I've talked a little bit about paid ads here and there. You kind of see it sprinkled in. Paid ads is a whole nother avenue. I do have other videos on that. Paid ads I hold off quite a bit, but something that I want my founders to at least be thinking about is we just want to do some quick basic math here. So let's theoretically say that we're doing about $50,000 in investment per month. And again, that might be on the low side, but I'm just using that as a number. Let's say our average investment size is $700, which is, I believe, what it's down to right now. It was $1,200, but it has actually dipped. Let's say we have this. Let's say we have this, and let's say our cost per acquisition is roughly $350. So we're doing a two return on ad spend, and what you're seeing here is very realistic, right? Most companies that I work with or I'm coaching don't have the creative to support it, aren't in a vertical where paid ads makes a lot of sense. And they've just never ran a lot of ads, so they don't have a relationship with Meta to start spending a lot of money. So you start to see that if your metrics are looking like this, man, are you spending 25 every month to raise 50? Maybe you are. Maybe you can risk it a little bit. Most companies can't. So what I look at is a couple things. If I'm seeing numbers like this, can I get my numbers here? Can I get this down to here? Now you start to see, oh, I've actually, there's some skin on the bone here, or some meat on the bone, I should say. I think I can start to scale this. So I'm always looking for like, is there a perk or something I can do to get that average up? But I'm also looking at, if it's cost, let's go back to this funnel over here, right? Let's go back up here. What's that cost per acquisition? Can I get it under 100? Because if that's happening just to get that pitch deck download and I'm seeing some interest, I might go back to paid media, or I might turn it on faster to say like, nope, there's actually some, if my cost per acquisition is, let's say $75, like, oh my God, everybody on the planet would be like pouring money on this, right? So you'll get some gauges on this. That's why I like to do that sort of, that pay for the pitch deck strategy. just to see if I can't get some numbers beforehand. So paid ads, all about math, all about a relationship with Meta at this point. Great creative, lots of creative, and making sure that you're in the right vertical to even do paid ads. Okay, hopefully everybody's still with me. I'm going to talk a couple more things here because these are questions I get quite a bit, and it's a little bit out of scope of just the flows and funnels. Hopefully, those all make sense to you. We'll open up for some questions in a second. Other thing I get a lot of questions is Jeff goes, or like they'll go, Jeff, I just can't make content, and I'm going to show you our strategy for content because it is a bit of a funnel as well. So I meet with my founders once a month to make content. I'll spend 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I'm doing this right now, by the way. I'm making my long form content. So the strategy you see right here is what I'm currently doing. I am making this. You guys are all part of this. Thank you, everybody. I needed you guys. This is going to turn into probably, this is a longer video, but this will definitely be at least 30 to 40 clips for me over the course of July, August, even into September. And then I'm going to slice and dice those up. They're going to go out to all my social channels. And then what I do is I push everybody into one opt-in page in my world. Opt in from there. There might be a free resource. Hey, here's my Facebook ad calculator. I also invite people to join my community or school. So think of it like a Discord or something along those lines. And then obviously, I want you to book a call. I'm hoping that some of you on this call will get to hear and go, I would like to talk to you, Jeff. Holy cow, this was amazing, right? You guys are all kind of in this version of the funnel right now. And hopefully you're here. I like the same thing when it comes to when it comes to my kind of my social media presence of when I run these investment campaigns is, I'm not nickel and diming. I'm not looking at Instagram and YouTube and going, oh my God, we got to keep tweaking all of these. I'm just like, push it all out. At least have one page that we send everybody to and see if we can get them to book a call. When this is working, it looks kind of something like this. This is what I try to get to. Like, I want a lot of short videos, a lot of clips. Even if that's going off, I'm getting attention. From attention, two things are typically happening: brand awareness or any of those funnels we talked about, 10 minutes ago can be at play here, right? Because they're all trying to get bookings to investment. So even if they're not doing that, my company's still getting some attention. I'm still putting out, making noise. Ads, we talked about a little bit. Outbound, I'm going to hold off on ads for a second, I should say. Outbound, can I get to 1,000 outbound per day? Do I have the tech stack built to that? And then obviously per week, can I get my 200 invitations, connection requests going out? And can I also upgrade to Sales Navigator so I can do in-mail messaging as well, right? So just trying to get LinkedIn up. So that's kind of a inside look of this here. So another form of like a little bit of a funnel. Other things just to think about is kind of the content flows, right? This is again a little outside of the scope of funnels, but I try to get my founders do a lot of inspirational content around the vertical you're in. Making people aware that you exist, making people feel like an insider. They're going to be top of the trend. I think that's an important one actually on the investor. I think investors want to feel like, hey, I know about this cool thing coming. Out of that, you typically get exploration. People will go to the website, go to the offering page, follow you on socials. And then from there, I want to move them into community. This is not about selling anything. This is about, having them be a brand ambassador or a loyal follower, right? I want to move them into community. And out of that, you typically get loyalty. You get repeat investors, deal after deal, right? As you roll out. But I want people to kind of think about that sort of flow and funnel at the end of the day. After that, we got, another one, last one here, and then I'm going to open up for some questions here. People are like, I don't know what to do about content. I tell everybody, please steal this and just put your vertical in it. My world is typically equity crowdfunding or fundraising. These are all the sort of topics around there. And then these are all the different, the sort of verticals that I can come off of it. So I typically, if I don't know what to talk about, on a Monday, I go equity crowdfunding, paid ads, FAQ, equity crowdfunding videos, key takeaways, right? And I can just do this all day and never run out of content. I just load it up in Claude and let it go. So yeah, so hopefully this all helps. I'm going to open up for some questions. I know I went through a lot of stuff here. Hopefully you guys have the link to this here. My brain on fundraising. You sort of start to see the scope of things. Only thing we didn't get too much into is just data. I've got data up the wazoo. So I mean, like you can see here, I've got family offices, high net worth individuals. We have about 750,000 in this database. And what I do is I go through this and I find investors that I think make sense. I call them seed data. They're just seeds. We're going to, start knocking on their doors based on signals or things that they've done in the past. But I have a team that constantly cleans and organizes this. But yeah, so we've got a lot of stuff behind us, but hopefully this all helps. Oh yeah, if you guys got questions, let's go ahead and throw some questions in and we can get a little bit more in the weeds here if anybody's got anything, or I can focus on one portion of this if that makes sense for anybody. And again, my email's in here too, so if you do want me to send you a copy of this, feel free to let me know on that too. I can shoot you a link over. I know we went through a lot of stuff here, but hopefully this all helps. Anybody have any questions or anything that I can focus up a little bit more on? Remember, if you weren't here, go to pre-IPOhype.com. This is our company's website. A couple of things that you'll see here. We've got, yeah, actually a couple of really cool things. If you want me to sponsor an investment club, I do that on behalf. Investment clubs are a really unique way for a lot of companies to raise capital. I come and I sponsor it. You have one goal. That's to get 100 people to download your pitch deck. If you do that, I will sponsor your club and we can raise that money very, very quickly. If anybody wants my tech stack, I actually give it away for $1 per month. I'll give you the link to that here as well. There you go. There's the link to there. Yeah. So everything you saw in terms of the tech stack, I give it to you. And yeah, you can go and run a lot of this stuff yourself. I give you the what do you call it? The templated emails that we typically use that you can just go and adjust those. So yeah, if you want, yeah, you're basically going to get access to everything that you see here. You can have all your socials. If you get stuck, you can bring us on and we can help build this out, or you can do it yourself, right? But that's a nice option I want to make sure founders have access to. That's a big one there as well. But yeah, so if you guys, yeah, go to pre-IPOhype.com right now if you want here. If you have any questions, you can go and click on my Ask CEO. You can talk to me. This has been trained on literally everything I do. When I'm done with this call, it will actually be uploaded here. It will be trained on it. So anything that we're doing behind the scenes, you can actually chat with me, call me, and this will chat with you. So a lot of options. But okay, so any other questions? Anybody have anything that I can get more in the weeds on? If not, I do appreciate everybody. Hopefully everybody's feeling this right now. Woo, yeah. Hopefully you guys are. And yeah, hopefully you guys are out getting that capital raised. But yeah, if you guys don't have any questions, I'll let you guys get back to it. Hope you guys have a great week. Have a great July 4th. If you have any questions or anything, just shoot me a note. You got my email here, and I'll be more than happy to jump on. Or if we want to do a call specifically for your deal, we can do that as well. All right, everybody good? Another minute here. Well, I will give you my last funny little gifts here. Thank you, thank you. Oh, we have one new one. Yeah. Cassidy, yeah, no, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right, everybody, I'll let you guys all get to it. If you guys need anything, you guys know where to find me. Appreciate you all. Thanks so much for coming. Bye now.